Also, Young People 101. That's funny. All right. I got the tea. I saw this thing that was like someone was explaining the concept of tea to their parent, and then they were like, the parent was like, you have to be careful where you spill the tea. Tea stains. And I was like, ooh, ooh. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's dope. I'm gonna use that one. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's also important to acknowledge that like a lot of these jokes that become mainstream do come from like minority groups and then just get like appropriated by the mainstream. So, you know, thank drag queens for like 90% of internet slang. Like Savage, throwing shade, spilling the tea, like those are all drag queen things. Wig snatched, like, but you know, they just become popular. What are you doing?
Snatch, period, absolutely.
Yep. Period. Yes, with like the nail, like I don't have fingernails, so I can't like make them click. But yes. All right. It's important, I think, to know. Want to figure out where things come from. Permissions. Okay. Yeah. So what I want to talk about is something that you guys have probably worked with but have never thought about formally, and that is like user permissions. So inside of operating systems, oh, I'm not paying for a Pluralsight course. Bye. When you are looking at files and stuff, let me zoom in on this. Well, any kind of operating system. Yeah, bye, Felicia. Exactly, yeah. Well, that was from that movie. I don't remember what that movie's called. Like, I can picture that scene in my head with the two dudes sitting on, like, the porch. I can picture it. Friday. That's the movie. Yep, the movie's called Friday. It probably got popularized by the drag queens, but that's from that movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about where I'm at with it. I've seen that scene, and then one of my friends really loves that movie, but I've never seen it. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Go here. So this is my user, me. And then these are the permissions that this user has for this folder. All systems have stuff like this. Windows has, you have to like go into the file system with like the file explorer and right click and expose this, but it does still have it. Typically you have your root user and you have users, like regular users. So your root user is going to be stuff like, that's where you're going to do stuff like updating and all of that. I think this is not super challenging if you guys have ever used like a computer on a network, like a university or a work computer, and you didn't have admin permission on the computer. I think this concept's pretty easy to understand. If you've only ever had admin access on your devices, then you're like, what do you mean I don't have permission to read this folder? So can somebody explain to me why we would have different users on a computer? And like why we would have different permissions for those users?
So having different users could be like one user wants to do something on the computer while another user wants to do something, and so it doesn't intermingle and mess with the other user stuff. And they would have different permissions because like when I was little, I had a user on my dad's computer and it was a kid's one, and he put it on there so I couldn't see inappropriate stuff. As soon as it came off, something popped up. So that would be why.
Okay, that's good. What else? What other things would we care about?
Like on a work computer. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Okay.
My bad. I'm sorry. And of course, the one who doesn't need to talk wants to talk, right? Like I know on work computers, they don't want you downloading stuff, you know, because it could be security, it could be you download some virus or malware or something like that. So you have certain permissions that would restrict you from doing certain things, especially on a work computer, visiting certain websites, downloading things, just certain actions, making changes in the CRM, you know, the customer service management. We don't want you going in there and, you know, being able to do certain things in there. So just kind of preventing you to do stuff.
Yeah. Also, when you have one computer and you have, you have multiple people, like y'all are saying, you have multiple people using the same computer. So, that kind of helps to separate your stuff and your files. You don't want them to access your things, mess up your things, and you have, you just have totally different files and stuff on your user frame from maybe your kids, like you said, they have different permissions, or it just helps to keep things organized in your household or in your job and
Yeah.
permissions.
The other
Yeah.
big thing is security permissions. So we'll talk about this more in depth next week. I left a box on the living room table, y'all, and the cat is going to town. And then I'm gonna read Christine's point 2 after this. When I don't know why this do I support the Syrian government is. I don't know what that is. Anyways, it's there. When you are building out systems that exist online, if you do not set permissions correctly, you can set yourself up for outside security risk. So notice like this one right here, it's like writable by like everything because it's a Creative Cloud one. So it's really, really accessible. What if this was running my stuff for my bank information? Because like notice down here, this is a key. This is my private key for my server. And I can read it. And that's it. Because I don't want anybody else to do anything with my private key. I can't even write to that key. The other one I can write to. So that's a big thing. So making sure people don't overwrite each other. Were you going to say something, Zizi?
Oh, no, I thought you asked the question. I was about to ask what the question was.
Oh, that's okay. It was kind of rhetorical. It was like, obviously we don't want to have things be overly executable. If you are working with systems, the characters in that key, exactly, yeah. So I can't, this key right here, I cannot physically open it and type in it. But this one has write permission, so I could physically open it and type into it. Yeah, sensitive information more secure. Yeah, because you only set read permissions for the people who are supposed to have access to it. Next week, we're going to talk about this concept of least privilege. And what least privilege means is you only give people enough stuff to do what they need to do. This sometimes gets misused because, in two ways. It gets misused in two ways. One is overuse, and the other is underuse. So overuse of least privilege is restricting people's accounts. Yeah, they're limited to what they can modify. Exactly, yeah. Is so I don't know if I should tell you guys the story. I mean, the person doesn't work there anymore, so maybe it doesn't matter. So, okay, one of the companies that I have used to work for used to let all of the developers have admin access on their machines. So that meant that you could download stuff, you could set up all of your stuff, you can do whatever you want on your machine. You were the admin. And so that was an underuse of least privilege because they were not fully utilizing it. So what had happened was some of the kids, like the younger developers, realized they could use their work machines to mine Bitcoin. And so downloaded all of this stuff and basically bricked a bunch of computers trying to mine Bitcoin from their work computers. What is Bitcoin is it's government-less, like without a government form of mining. Okay, so the way Bitcoin works is there's a certain amount of cryptocurrency, whatever it is, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Altacoin, whatever. And the way that you get Bitcoin is by mining for it, which is solving really complicated math problems. So you set up machines to solve math problems. And when your computer solves a math problem correctly, you get Bitcoin. So that's what mining Bitcoin means. And that's how you make money in those systems. So they set up, yeah, it's a type of money. Exactly. Yeah. And again, like a lot of the stuff we talk about, it's not inherently bad or inherently good. Some people really like it because it means you can't be tracked online. Very hard, extremely hard. Yeah, well, that's a big thing is how do you cash out your Bitcoin? Yeah, it can be really challenging and they're very, very volatile because they're not backed up by anything. So like, American money is backed by how much gold is in the vault, loosely. Not like dollar for dollar, but like, it's loosely back to it. Making sure she's not going to fall off the living room table. Bitcoin's not backed by anything. There's not like a physical thing somewhere. You can sell Bitcoin for money. Yep. The volume goes up and down like stocks. Exactly. Yeah. It's a really volatile currency. And so that's why sometimes it's like 10 grand for one Bitcoin. And then the next day it's like 3 cents. Blockchain is pretty cool. And I think it has a lot of like really nice applications. The other really nice thing about Bitcoin is like you don't get tracked like you do if you have a credit card. If it's stored on a hard drive and it crashes, you lose it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. If the coin is not backed up where... So some things exist on a blockchain, and so it doesn't matter. Blockchain is a technology. Bitcoin is a currency. Blockchain is just a technology that basically is like connecting a bunch of computers together to make them all work on problems together. You chain all of these computer blocks together so they can all work on problems and check each other's work. And then things like Bitcoin and Ethereum or what is it, Ethereum? It's like Ether, but with a UM at the end. Dogecoin, yes, that Ethereum, yeah. Those are all different kinds of cryptocurrency. And it's called cryptocurrency because it's encrypted money. Is that where everything's going to go? I don't know, honestly. So like sometimes it'll be really, really popular. Like I don't own any cryptocurrency. Also, I don't know enough about the whole cash issue. I have a podcast downloaded to figure out why we can't use coins anymore. I don't know what that is. But I have a podcast downloaded to do more research about that. But I don't know what the coin and cash shortage is about. I don't know. So I'm going to do some research and find out because I don't know. So, okay, so I don't know what's happening for sure. I have to do more research. And so if somebody else knows more about it, please feel free to chime in.
I know the Mint stopped making the coins.
Yeah.
And there's a theory about basically just wanting us to use our debit and credit cards more so they could track purchases, easier. But yeah, they stopped producing them. So that's creating the shortage because if they're not circulating, which, we're using a lot more cards and online shopping, especially during the pandemic, that's created a shortage. Because my friend works in banking for like over 20 years now. So she deals with that because she manages the vendor requests and things like that for change and, bill orders and things like that for branches It's now Truist. It was SunTrust and BB&T and they merged, whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of some of what's happening is that it's just not circulating and they're not making any more. It's not circulating as much. So now there's not enough.
Crazy. So I guess go Coinstar your stuff, I guess. I don't know. That also stresses me out, but that's probably because I've read Handmaid's Tale too many times. So
when is it coming back?
I don't know. I never watched the show. I read the books.
Is the book good?
the Margaret, like, she writes so many, like, The Heart Goes Last, Cat's Cradle, like, she's
Gotta
one of
read
my favorite writers. Like, I think I've read every single book by her. And then she just recently wrote a sequel to Handmaid's Tale, which is about what happens after. And so Handmaid's Tale is this dystopian in the beginning, but, like, what does it look like after a generation? My favorite book by her is either Heart Goes Last or Cat's Cradle. The Heart Goes Last is a very, very good book. Yeah, I highly. What is her last name? Atwood, Margaret Atwood.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Highly recommend, and like all the libraries have them because all of her books are pretty old. She still writes. They're very wonderful, wonderful books. Though they're very fun and engaging, and like, she writes short stories. She writes sci-fi. She writes political dramas. Like, they're wonderful. The other author I highly recommend is Octavia Butler.
Oh, hey, thanks, Haley.
Yeah. All of her books are pretty anti-fascist, honestly. The author is Margaret Atwood, and the book is Handmaid's Tale. Atwood.
The show is actually pretty good, so I know.
She's Canadian too. What's fascism?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big
on the show, they're running to Canada because of what's going on down here. So.
Yeah. So this is her name spelled correctly. The Testaments is the second book in the series. So she wrote Handmaid's Tale in the 80s, and she wrote The Testaments in 2019. Allie's Grace is also a TV show now. Primo, very good. The Blind Assassin is really good. It's a little bit sad. Yes, yeah, she's very popular. Cat's Eye is really good. The Mad Adam trilogy is good. This one does have some violence in it. So like all of her books are like drama and intense, but I think Mad Adam is like the most intense. So if you don't super like violence, I would probably avoid that series. But the rest of them are like wonderful. Moral Disorder is really good. Wilderness Tips is good too. But yeah, she writes sci-fi. She writes political dramas. Like, she's wonderful. I like her a lot. The other author I highly recommend is Octavia Butler. She's much more sci-fi. She also writes about like vampires and stuff. Parable of the Sower is phenomenal. The movie Antebellum, I thought was this movie. Like, when I saw the commercial for Antebellum, I thought it was this book, and I was like, oh, but it's not. It'd be like that. Sometimes you got to work a bunch of jobs. But Parable of the Sower is a wonderful book. Highly, highly recommend. This is vampires. But yeah, Parable of the Sower is wonderful. Dawn is more vampires. She also writes like a bunch of like trashy sci-fi. Well, okay. Pulp sci-fi, I think. Yeah, sometimes two jobs at once. Yep. I could relate to that. It's hard.
Well, nothing can be lower than Jackie Collins. So I have like everyone. Like, I have two Jackie Collins books propping up this old TV as my second monitor right now. Like, I used to love Jackie, but they're good reads to go back to when you just want something fun. But there's
I love fun books, man. Like romance isn't super my thing, but like I still read a lot of like young adult fiction because it's fun. Like,
it is fun.
It's not super crazy, like intense. It's just
Jackie's just fun.
Yeah. Okay. So ZZ, very briefly in a nutshell, fascism is a form of government that is very, very authoritarian, and it's very like you live your life exactly in this way, and if you don't, you die. This is like what like Nazi Germany was. This is like what Italy is. Exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's That's what the foundation is of fascism, is it's an authoritarian government. That being said, okay, so that's what it is as a nutshell, and that's also when like people say people are fascists. Sometimes they mean it, and then sometimes they're just like, "Ooh, fascism is bad. I'm calling this person a bad person." So, just be aware that like it's a political system that is typically very, very bad for the countries that end up in it. It just, it's like any kind. Yes, exactly. And it also tends to have like a lot of like racism and like Italy is a really good example of it because like you had to be this exact kind of Italian, and if not, bye. So it's kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum from like socialism or like communism. And that's also what Antifa means, is anti-fascist. And so all of the like broadcasting that like it's a well-known organization and a terrorist group, yeah, that's the thing. But you don't want to be, people will misconstrue anti-fascism if you shorten it to Antifa because it's getting marked as a terrorist group right now. So it's complicated. It's a big web. Do some research, read. But yes, at its core, fascism is the kind of government that like Italy had in World War II. And a lot of people are worried that America is becoming like that now and that it's going to have really negative impacts. And so people who don't think that America is leaning that way and or don't see a problem with getting rid of people who don't fit into social norms. Yes, the early signs of fascism. Yeah, exactly. Just, don't think that it's a bad thing and don't care that certain forms of government exclude people. They don't care because they're not getting excluded. So the people who are like that don't see a problem with it. So you want to be careful if you're going to be really outspoken. Like, yeah, like whatever. I'm already like probably super a political target because like, my Twitter is nothing but angry rants. And like, I go protest and like I'm very angry. But just be aware that doing that, exactly, like it's taking something that is pretty simple, like Black Lives Matter, that is pretty simple, and pulling it and misconstruing it and making it into like it's something bad. Because like saying, hey, I don't want to live in a fascist dictatorship shouldn't be a hot take. But because of the political climate right now, it's, hard. So if you are going to say stuff like, I'm part of Antifa, you need to understand that that has very big implications and that people might target you for it. In the same way that, like, people have gotten attacked for, like, wearing, like, shirts that say Black Lives Matter or going to protests or stuff like that. Doesn't mean it's not important. Yeah. Call center, yep. Yep. Lots of jobs, yeah. So, just make sure that you're not putting yourself at risk and that you're making informed decisions about what you're doing. And yeah, I'm really angry about everything. So, and like I also, especially with you guys looking for jobs, it is important to probably be relatively political neutral online. In your personal life, go for it. Argue with your cousins and be like, listen, I hate you. But online, probably keep neutral, especially if you want to work government jobs, because technically, if you are working a government position, you are not allowed to campaign. And so that also includes, like, you know, supporting a certain candidate or ideology. Did we learn jQuery? No. I don't teach y'all jQuery.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just like he maybe like mentioned it, but I don't. Yeah, we didn't like. Okay.
But yeah. I didn't teach y'all jQuery because a lot of ES6 stuff handles it now, so you don't need it.
Would it be worth our time to learn how to start using that formatting? Okay, because they start curly bracing everything. I'm like, Lord, they're making it so simple. It's like almost like everything's so compact. Like,
yeah, that's what I would learn the ES6 stuff. I wouldn't learn jQuery because you don't need it. The only time you will use jQuery now is because you're working with a legacy system. That's about the only time.
So like a company has a legacy system.
Yeah, like the only time that I've written jQuery in the past year is I was working on a .NET project. And, you know, that was just because it was easy. And it's pretty easy to learn. It's not challenging. So if you do find yourself needing it, it won't be too bad. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got a little bit derailed, but that's okay. Memes are important. Politicalness is important. But yeah, do some research, you know, keep yourself safe. And also, like, if as you're looking for jobs or if you want to work for the government, or also, like, if you have military family, or especially if your family does, like, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what they officially call it, but, like, so I have been friends with people that, like, their military member did, like, intelligence work. And so even though they were not the person hired to do the work, because they were family, they had to not be super, like, politically engaged because they didn't want to make themselves a target. So, you know, if you want to work for the government, you got military family, like close family, I'm not talking about like your third cousin, but like, you know, your spouse or, you know, a direct parent maybe, just, you know, be cautious. That's a big can of worms. So it just depends. And it also, like, depends on what you want to do and how much you're doing it. Because, like, the thing is like, because I want to tell you no. I want to be like, no, you know, you should be able to be like, yeah, you know, Black Lives Matter and get hired. Like, that is what I want to tell you. But in reality, it's complicated. In reality, when we look at this stuff, there's a lot of issues still. And so, like, I don't know, we're gonna do some research right now. I think this is applicable also, because, like, y'all, I want to be, keep it neutral and tone. Exactly, yeah. So that's not terrible. That's kind of diverse. What else? Kind of diverse. It's not terrible. But I will say, like, you know, okay, look, that's nice. So you could probably, like, do NASA. And so it just depends. So, like, for me, I'm going to be politically outspoken. It's just how I am. And so if a company doesn't, you can have whatever opinion you want, just keep to yourself. Yeah. And it also depends on, like, how important it is to you. So, like, how I talked to y'all about, like, hair. Like, I love having colored hair. Like, I normally have green hair. But when I have to do professional stuff, I let my hair go back to its natural color. And, like, is it fair that, like, I can't have... Yeah. And so it's this balance of, like, what you want to do. Like, you want to go work for, like, a startup, dye your hair hot pink, be super political on Twitter, show up to your interview in a crop top. Great. But if you want to do something like the NSA, you're going to have boring hair, you're going to dress nice, and your Twitter is going to be boring. So it depends on what you want to do and what's important to you. And like, I come from this from two places, and part of me is because I grew up military. And so like, you just do it. It doesn't matter if you don't necessarily agree with it. Like, you know, is it dumb you can't wear sweatpants to the grocery store on base? Sure, but that's how it is. You don't want to get yelled at by the MPs, and so you wear jeans to the grocery store instead of sweatpants. Exactly, yeah, exactly. Seek out employers who feel the same, and they're out there, yeah. And like, because I mean, we can see that, like, when we look at, like, you know, some of the resources, like, you know, SAS has a banner on top that says Black Lives Matter. Like, go work for them. They're going to support you. Yeah, and being careful, and like also understand that sometimes people will use your outspokenness against you. So just, you know, be aware. And it's the same thing of like, yeah, coloring your hair, or do you need flexible childcare, or, you know, whatever. If you want certain things, you might have to sacrifice stuff to get it. And that sucks, and it's not fair, and it's also like, it's also really unfair to people of color. It's unfair to women. It's unfair to like LGBTQ people. And if you are any kind of combination therein, your life is extra hard. And that sucks. And it's not fair. But it's getting better. And I think a lot of tech is starting to get there. You're a triple threat. Yeah, exactly. And so like understanding, like, this is getting a little bit derailed, but I do think it's important. So one of my friends is Native American, and she's gay, and she's a she, and she's in the Air Force, and she's just like, ah! And so like when you're, but you know, she's in the Air Force, and like she's probably going to be an E6 soon, and like through her hard work, she's able to do really well. Yeah, and so like it's a lot more achievable now, but I'm also not going to lie to y'all. I'm not going to be like racism is over. I'm not going to be like sexism is over. I'm not going to be like ageism is over. Like, if you're not a young white dude, you're probably going to have a little bit harder time getting in tech. A lot of people have acknowledged that this is a problem, and they're actively working on fixing it. But like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to be like, you know, yeah, totally. It's totally easy now, and nobody cares about race or gender anymore. Because I'm not going to lie to y'all. It's like, you know. The other thing, just slight pet peeve that I get a lot, is people assume I'm a dude all the time. So, you know. It happens. I think it is better now, even than it was like 10 years ago. I think it's going to continue to get better. Yeah. But that being said, unless it's very important to your core, that's funny. You don't got long hair, and like obviously that means, you know, what gender you are. Obviously. But yeah, that's also why I do recommend, like, don't put your photo on your resume. Don't put your address on your resume. Don't put like your nickname on your resume, even if that's what you go by. Like, go for pretty neutral and boring on your resume, just so that way you're not going to get kicked out for something that you can't control. Your portfolio is more of a chance for you to express yourself. So like, I have a picture of me on my portfolio, but your resume should be like real boring, real neutral. Like I think I've shown you guys my resume before. And it's just, you know, because like if someone looks at you, they're going to make a split-second decision just on a photo of you. So instead of giving them that opportunity to maybe make a decision about you before they even meet you, you can just put out just the facts and that's it. So like, here's my resume. It'll load. I'm on my regular laptop again because I'm lazy. So like, it has just my name and just my phone number and my professional email. I don't have a picture of me. I don't have where I live. I don't have like any super personally identifiable information. And that's just my personal recommendation because you really want your resume to show off your skills. It's not really about who you are, but what your skills are. So this is what I recommend.
All right, is it you or the lady at Augusta Tech still got to help us, like, improve our?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You can send them to me. You can send them to Donna. Either way. Yeah, and that's fine. And like we can talk about it because like I do think it's important, and I think it's good work skills to understand, and also like just having like knowing when people are going to like be upset about you about this kind of stuff because like. And the other thing is like understanding other people's political opinion and understanding that some people get to come from a place of privilege. And so they think if you're political, you're just doing it for like fun or attention and not like it's life or death. And so, you know, like I grew up real poor, y'all. And so like the idea of like whether or not people deserve to get, you know, healthcare or like, I mean, I ate free lunch most of my like school career. So like for me, that's like, oh, that would have been the difference between, you know, me eating or not. And for some people, they've never experienced that. And so they will only see you being political as like trying to start a fight. And it's really, really hard to accept that. But, you know, you just got to be like, oh, you've never had to worry about this impacting your life. I do.
It's still super disgusting.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. Because that's the, yeah. And so, like, just in, like, also in tech, you're going to reach a higher percentage of that. You're also going to get a lot of your dude bros. And, like, yeah, maybe that's sexist for me to call them dude bros. Yeah, different lives that people can see from different point of views. Yeah. You know, just have empathy with people and, like, understand that, like, some people might not have empathy with you. Yeah, exactly. Like you getting to go to good schools and have good health care and share that experience. Some people don't feel that way when they get privileged stuff. They assume that they've earned it because they've received it without any, like, you know, thought about what that implies. So, wrap up point being, you're going to run into some people who are just not going to like you just because of who you are. And that sucks. And it's not fair. And you're going to be dismissed or told, yeah. And like if you're born money, yeah. Norma Crab High School, yeah. And like practicing gratitude is really nice, but like you're going to run into people who are just going to ignore you just based on like you're a woman or you're not white or you're too young or you're too old or, you know, whatever. Like you have relaxed hair or you have a natural hair or, you know, whatever. And like all you can do is lean on the things that you can control. You get to talk about what your skills are. You get to present yourself professionally and you get to control all of that. everything else is on them. Like if someone decides not to hire you because you're a girl, then you can maybe try to sue them. It probably won't work because Georgia's an at-will state, but you know, you can try. And I think things are getting better, but I'm definitely not gonna be like, yeah. Yes, Black Girls Code and Women Who Code are very wonderful, and they are very active in the Augusta area. Jean Schmidt organizes Women Who Code. She's very nice. I can hook you up for those. They do meetings in the clubhouse. Her mom is going through surgery right now, though, so she's not running it right now on top of everything else. Yeah, Black Girls Code, very wonderful. I love her. She's very nice.
There's a local one. I did not know that there was a local one. Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
I've helped them do events and all that. They're partners with the clubhouse too. She's lovely, and like, I'll tell you what, there's nothing more rewarding. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, than like having these like little kids, like having like a 10-year-old girl come up to you and be like, "I can do this." Being like, "Yeah," and they're like, "What?" It's wonderful. Yeah, and there are code groups that are just geared towards like just dudes or like all that, which I think is nice too, because it's important to have space where you can just be you. Send me a Slack message, and I'll Slack you all the stuff. Yeah, because volunteering with them, I think, would be really wonderful.
Yeah, okay. I want to get to a comfort level, to be able to kind of pay it forward and help teach coding to like girls, boys, whoever, but just, you know, people who would normally get that opportunity or young kids who would normally get the opportunity.
Yeah. And they're just such good kids. Like every time I've worked with that group, it has been such a rewarding experience. Like they're just such good kids, like all the time. Every single group I've worked with. Phenomenal group. They're good kids. So yeah, that's a little bit of a rant, but you know, I do want y'all to be set up and know that like, especially because we live in the South. Like maybe it's different in California, maybe it's not, I don't know. And I will say from my personal experience, RSI, very good about not being like that. They are super like diversity driven. They are super good at hiring women and hiring not white people. Like, highly recommend. TaxSlayer is starting to get there. They're starting to diversify and build out and bulk out. So like both of those local places are really good at building out diversity, and it's important to them, and they're deliberately trying to be diverse. Oh yeah, there's my rant. After all my negativity, you know. And, you know, does that mean they're going to be perfect? No. But, like, I worked for RSI for a long time. They have women in lead positions, like the director of that whole not community. What's his title? What's Tony's title? Director of... Anyways, the dude who runs the entire thing, he's black, and he's energetic. He's always very excited about everything, which is very nice. She doesn't tell anyone. So, does that answer your question? Yeah. That being said, they have repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, so you can't get fired from the military for being gay now, which is nice. As far as like being trans in the military, like I'm sure that's a struggle. I don't super know. Well, I mean, I guess I have some retired friends who were Army and are trans, but they didn't transition until they were out of the military. So, you know, you would not get fired for getting married. Probably. They are a lot better, and like I will say, like almost all the military people that I know, and I grew up military, like most of them are very like they don't care. Like they're there to do the job and that's it. Would it be harder for you? Probably. But like, yeah, genuinely from knowing you, you wouldn't like being in the military anyways. You have to be serious and quiet and listen to other people and not ask questions. And I don't think that is just for you, for your personality. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think for your personalities might not be great. But, you know, there are benefits to being in the military. Like I was going to join the Air Force after I graduated college. Or I was going to be an officer. And I was like, that sounds like work. Yeah, exactly. That's where I was at. Because, like, I was on TRICARE when I lived at home. And then when I graduated college, I got kicked out of TRICARE and I didn't have health insurance. And I was like, now what do I do? Because I didn't have health insurance anymore. So I was like, so I was just uninsured for a couple months. Like, I don't know what to do. But yeah. So anyways, point being, same thing as like, you know, I just graduated from college, yeah. No, ZZ, you're fine. You can stay on your parents' health insurance until you're 26. Yeah. TRICARE, you stay on until you're 23. Regular health insurance, you stay on until you're 26 or you get married. So you good. You good for a long time. And if you are still in school after you are 26, you can fill out a form and stay on your parents' insurance after you're 26. Unless you have TRICARE, then they're just like suffer and die. Well, then there you go. You're going to have health insurance. And the Obama, yeah, yep, insurance. Yep. Which that's a whole other can of worms. Anyways, I don't have insurance through my job. Getting insurance through the marketplace isn't too bad. It took like a whole day, but it wasn't terrible. And it is nice to have my insurance not be linked to my job, because then if I lose my job, I don't lose my health insurance too. It's expensive though. I pay like $300 a month for my insurance. Okay, so we've totally gotten totally derailed. We haven't talked about anything I wanted to talk about. That's okay though. I think these are important and I want to set y'all up for success. And, you know, part of that success is, you know, how do I get a job? And, you know, understanding that, you know, it's really funny too, is like I'm telling all y'all this and then like I'm super bad about this. Like I'm super like, you know, up on my Twitter just being like, I hate everyone. So, yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a break. Let's recenter ourselves. When we come back, we're going to actually go learn things. Let's come back at 2:30. And then, yeah, like, I don't mind. Like, these are totally fine questions to talk about. Like, I'd much rather you ask me, hey, can I talk about this? Than you ask, like, a potential employer. So, like, I much rather us have these conversations and be like, oh, you know, what is this piece or what does this mean? Then you ask that to a potential employer. Because that's what we're here for. So let's come back at 2:30 and then we'll actually learn things.
but it's got a limited lifetime warranty, so I just bring it back up to O'Reilly's and go to Shippers out again. And they're like, yeah, that's why I got one on the shelf for you. We know.
I guess they're still on break. Yes, they're coming back now.
You want some chips? Oh, okay. Part of what took us so long to get here is we stopped to grab a bite to eat first because we hadn't eaten yet. Oh, that's good. It's fine. I'm just glad you guys came. Me too. Finally get to see you face to face. So you have no mic on your thing, on your computer? I have a mic on my computer on my laptop, and it doesn't work, and I don't know why. And if I remember to plug my headphones in, I would have a mic, but I never do. Okay. I wear it to bed at night, and then I get up and I forget to plug it in. Yeah.
Cool. Hello. Welcome to actual class. I'm just kidding. It's okay. I'd like seriously rather us talk about it and get opinions about stuff and like, you know, because like the thing is like, listen, I'm gonna tell you guys straight up and be like, listen, people won't hire you if you have visible tattoos, weird color hair, and like some people aren't gonna hire you if you got like locks, and like that's messed up. But I'm not gonna lie to you and be like, yeah, you know. So, there's that. I think it's better now, though. I think people at least realize that, like, you can't tell people that kind of stuff, or, like, you know, people are at least starting to understand that, like, I don't think yours are bad. I think yours are fine because they still look like twists. So, but that's my opinion, and I probably am not the right person to. You got to go find, like, a really, like, conservative, older, like, white person and ask them. Be like, what do you think of my hair? But yeah, I think it is getting better, and like I think people are starting to understand that like we're still stuck. Oof, that sucks. Yeah, it's just hair, but you know, people are ornery. I think people are cool with braids now, like in general. I think people are like braids are cool, and I think it's getting better. But I would, you know, I would just Google it and be like Google professional hairstyles and unprofessional hairstyles and just see what the tone is. Send them my way so I can ask. Gee, there is nothing I would really like rather you enjoy watching you just like very earnestly just go up to like some 60-year-old dude and being like, what you think of my hair? Like, I think it would be funny. But other than that, though, you know, dress nice. Can't go wrong with button up and slacks. That's virtual, but virtually, yeah. You don't want to cough on old people. Conservative or otherwise. Don't cough on them. But yeah, just like, you know, and like also it'll depend where you're working. Like the military. Yes. Yes, dress like them. Yes. Do some corporate espionage. Go to LinkedIn, take a look, see what's up. Especially, so like, I don't know if I'm logged in on this account. Let's take a look. I might not be logged in. Ugh. Some companies will also post pictures of their whole team, and that will give you a very good idea of like what the vibe is. So like I'm sure if we go to, oh look, there's Wes. Oh, it's not a picture, it's a video. I should watch Wes's video and then harass him about it. I haven't talked to him in a minute. But let's go to like rural sourcing. And then like
Not present is easy. You took it back. Oh, you meant present. I thought you were like present, like back from break.
I'm a hot mess, y'all.
I am today, man. I am just like eating gummy bears and cough drops back to back nonstop. Like, it's just the best.
So here's a picture from, oops, this is not a picture. Yep, go, be a picture. This is a picture, and so you can kind of see, like, you know, it's a pretty chill vibe, like homeboy's in a hoodie over here. These two are in, like, button-ups. You know, she's in, like, just, like, a nice shirt. You know, pretty chill. What else? What else we got? And then look, like, these are how, like, most of the people dress, like, you know, a slightly nice call center vibe. Call center vibe. That's so funny. I think RSI tries really hard to not be a call center vibe, and so I think it's really funny that that's what you called it. I love it. That's funny. Business casual, yeah. You do tend to want to dress a little bit nicer than what, like, the actual position is. So, like, for what most people wear at RSI is they wear, like, a polo shirt and jeans. Yes, pretty chill. But I also think you can't be overdressed. I think this is the Mobile office. Oh, yeah, this is the Oklahoma office. But yeah, and so, like, you know, just a little bit nicer than that. That's also Monty. He's a pretty nice dude. He's very energetic. He's the CEO of the company. He's very nice. He talks a lot. He's nice, though. Yeah, and, like, you know, just, you know, like, I can't have pink hair. I'm not going to shave my head. All that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely, you know, scope out your comp and see what's up. That sounds cute. See all employees. Also, I guess I want to tell you two things about LinkedIn while we're here. I'll probably talk about them towards the end of class too. Dun, 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 dun. Make your picture nice. Oh, let me do something real fast. So I just asked Eric if I can get you goat footer and clothing in the mail. Excellent. Yeah. Pink hair. Yes. After you get hired, very rarely will they care. Once you get hired, you're normally fine, especially if you are not in a client-facing role. Yes. For your LinkedIn, for my military people and my retired military people, it's all good. I figured. I know which ones you know. Write a better about me than this. My about me sucks. Make it like 3-4 sentences. Keep your history up to date, all that. Do these skill quiz things. There's also, where is it? There's LinkedIn, don't have a lot of data. Yeah, it's all good. It's all recorded. Yeah. Yep. I'm looking for, I don't remember how to find it. You can take classes through LinkedIn, and then it gives you accreditations on your LinkedIn account. And if you're military or retired military, it's free. And so if you are military or prior military, this Learn Skills is highly, highly recommended because it's free. So ain't no reason for you guys not to. I will say some people say LinkedIn Premium is worth it. Y'all know how I feel. Prior military is free. Yes, if you are retired or currently in the military, you are free. I have to email Schuster because I don't remember. I'm looking for. Um, this online courses is, I think, the thing that's most valuable for it. But I don't remember how to do the free military thing. But I know that it's a thing, and retired military gets it too. I'll send an email to Schuster and ask. For everybody else, you do get that free month if you'd like to do that. I don't think the free month is a bad idea, but I think $30 a month for like the services it provides isn't worth it. But that's my personal opinion. But if you are military or prior military, like, definitely use it. Use those free online courses. Put those online courses on your LinkedIn profile. Definitely use it. I also don't use this a lot, honestly. Like, maybe I should use it more, but I just, I don't. I really don't. First time voting, why do I have to pick? Because you have to get a ballot, and the ballots are based on parties. So you have to pick which one you want to vote for. Some places have nonpartisan ballots, but most places you have to pick which one. It doesn't. Yeah, Richard Spencer. He's a nice dude. He worked at Millviewer. I guess he still does. You still get to vote in the actual election for everybody, but picking if you're Democratic or Republican decides. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Small world. Small world. This just decides which primary you get to vote in. So if you want to vote for the Democratic primary, you pick Democratic. If you want to pick the Republican, it's just which political party. Republicans tend to be more conservative. Democrats tend to be more liberal. Right now, it's two really old white dudes, so.
I'm sorry, Morgan. Yes. So one of those pretty old white dudes served with Obama. So if that helps you make your decisions.
Yes, Obama was Democratic. Yes. Yes. Zizi, you are probably a Democrat. Yes. As you are young, you're probably
SpongeBob is a Democrat. Look. I'm just saying, he's pretty liberal minded,
Oh my god. Oh, that is the funniest thing I have heard all day. I am crying. Oh my god. Oh. Oh. We're not getting anything done today, are we? Ah. Democrats tend to be much more liberal than Republicans. Technically, though, it comes down to what how people feel about welfare and foreign policy tends to be what the big divide is for those parties. Also, some people really hate the two-party system. Yeah, for reals, you about made me fall out. Like, that was funny. It tends to be so Democrats tend to be more pro-welfare, yeah. And Republicans tend to be more support small business. Republicans tend to be a little bit more gung-ho about getting involved in other countries. Democrats tend not to be. Left-wing white supremacists versus right-wing white supremacy. Oh, that's a whole can of worms. Yeah, just because people are Democratic does not inherently make them not racist. There are lots of left-wing white people who are still super racist. And I mean, honestly, personal opinion here, I think that the liberal white people are more problematic than the right-wing white people, because racist white people, we'll have the caveat there, because the right-wing racist people, you're can see it. But then, like, you know, it's like, I like to make fun. I'm a vegetarian, but like, I like to make fun of the vegans a lot. And so, like, yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. There are a lot of liberal white people who do not understand. And yes, yeah, and that's fine. Like, a lot of times people get involved in politics just because they want to vote someone out. Yeah, so like liberal white people who are still racist are still super problematic, and like it can almost be harder for them to acknowledge that what they're doing is hurtful because they won't. It's I also see it for like, I have genuinely heard people say things like white gay dudes will say this to like black people and they'll be like, I've been oppressed, I know what, and I'm like, no honey, you still get white privilege, like you don't get to say that. Yeah, and you know, so yes, both sides have the contingency of racist white people. And a lot of people don't even know. Yeah. Yes, I know. I do get a little bit derailed, and I am sorry. And I know not everybody agrees with my political views, and that's fine. I do not mind arguing about stuff. But I think ethics is important. I think understanding the barriers that y'all are going to face, and like we all face together, is important because I don't want to set you guys up for failure. And like, if there's something I can do to help y'all, like whether it's a hard skill or a soft skill, or you know, hey, how do I register to vote? A bunch of new people moved into my neighborhood. So I keep people watching because I don't know them. Oh no, I'm terrible. I'll get into like deep fights with people. I'm totally okay with being proved wrong though, is the big thing. If I'm wrong, I will listen to other people's views and be wrong, and that's okay. What do you mean? You're just gonna show up on my doorstep?
Like, you just see people moving in and you just see me out there, but I'm on the phone with you.
Just be like, there's a
I'm
glitch. I gotta go. I gotta go. No, I don't know. I thought I knew her though. Like, she looked like Aubrey, like the lady who came and did the ethics talk. So I was really confused. But yeah, so anyways, I hope this was useful for y'all. Does anybody else have any like political questions that I can answer? I do volunteer with like Rock the Vote a lot too, so you know. And if I don't know an answer, I'll tell y'all that I don't.
Pull out my sheet, see if I need any more questions answered. I got a little application over here. Okay, nah, that was all of it. It was just that.
Okay, excellent. Yes, you still get to vote in the election for both parties. Okay, what is left wing versus right wing? It's the same thing as liberal versus conservative, but with a little bit more political pizzazz. So left wing people tend to be very liberal. So like when people say right wing conservative, they mean like very like America first, small business first, welfare's bad, that kind of stuff. That tends to be what right wing means. And left wing people tend to be like pro welfare, like America. Yeah, Democrats versus Republicans. The liberal, conservative, Democrat versus Republican, left wing, right wing, all tends to be pretty much the same. Yeah. And yeah. And again, like we've talked about with a lot of these things, neither one of these parties are inherently good or bad. Like recently, I think a lot of Republican people have been under heat. Yes, Democrats are left and Republicans are right. Yeah. This doesn't, yeah, exactly. Like they're getting a lot of heat right now because Trump has said that he's a Republican, even though I fundamentally disagree with that because Homeboy has received a lot of government bailouts. But it's a whole other can of worms. So a lot of people, he's probably honestly a Democrat, like at his like heart, because like he's received government bailouts, he's gotten a lot of money to support his businesses, like yeah, that's the thing. Like, he's gotten a lot of money, and like most Republicans don't believe in that. Yes, he switched parties, so like, you know, he's just doing it because it's what's popular. And that's not inherently bad, but you know, maybe it doesn't. Yes, he's for the winning team. Yes, I think that is probably a very apt, non-judgmental way of saying it. And you know, and then Democratic people tend to be a little bit more like, we should make pre-K free. Libertarians are totally different, yeah. So libertarians tend to be a little bit more gung-ho about everything, and very like almost anarchy, like very like everybody fend for themselves. So there are other parties too besides just the Democrats and the Republicans. Like, you can join the Green Party, which is just focused on like environmental issues. We do have a socialist party in America, despite what McCarthy wanted. They just don't tend to. Yes. Yeah, and I agree. It really should feel like I should be voting for someone, not against someone. And I think that's a fundamental issue with the two-party system right now. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, like, it can be like hard to talk about political stuff, but you know, I would like to vote for someone I believe in instead of voting against someone. That would be really nice. Yeah, ideas, yeah. Yeah, with the other candidates, like, that's all it is like, I'm not this person. I'm not that person. Well, obviously. But can I get, like, policy? Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to fix something? But I am also wondering if in the future maybe things will be better, or, you know, I was very optimistic when I was younger. I was like, the internet's going to make voting in elections easier. I was wrong. I was wrong, and that's okay. Yes. Okay, so impeachment is a process. And so they don't want to make voting easy because that would let more people vote. Yeah. Yeah, well, and like the thing is, you know, those Georgia gets in trouble a lot. Georgia gets in trouble a lot because the machines that they use are not secure. So like those Brinks voting systems, like I could hack them with my phone. Like, not like, ooh, I'm a good hacker, but like that's how insecure they are. So like voter security is, you know, a valid concern. And I think understanding how, because so like, okay, so let's bring it back to tech. The last election, a lot of people thought that the state funded hackers. So state funding, meaning like a nation like Russia, funded hackers to break the election system, to rig the election. Whose fault is that? Like, is it the poll workers? Is it the people who made the voting software? Is it the company who shipped the voting software? Like, yeah, the people who made the voting software. So like, you know, that seems like a pretty easy like thing. Like, you know, you guys have probably like seen on like project lists, like, you know, make a voting system. And like, this is what a ballot looks like. If you guys haven't seen one, I think most of you guys have voted before, but if you haven't, this is what they look like. This is like what a paper ballot looks like, and then a digital ballot looks pretty much the same. Like, that's what it looks like. Was there, they can't be breached once the vote is saved and backed up? Yeah, and that's a good question. Yes, so when you do an election, when you go to vote, you're not just voting for one thing. Oh, that's a very interesting point. So Haley says if the people in charge of running the elections ensure that they have to ensure secure elections, they allow insecure software. So it's not the designer's fault. Interesting. Interesting. But yeah, so like this is like you guys could make this real easy in, you know, a website. It's not super hard software, but like, yeah, how do you do all this stuff? This one's an old one. These are all the other ones too. So there's a Greenpeace. I guess it's not Greenpeace, it's Greenhouse. Yeah. Yeah. And so like, you know, how do you make good, secure software? Barack Hussein Obama, yeah. Yep. The other thing I think is really important to think about too, is physical voter registration and stuff also has problems too. Like that's what caused the 2008 election scandal, was those paper ballots with the hanging tabs. So like not being able to correctly run elections is not a new problem. That's also why we have like the election college, the electoral college. Yes, I don't think it's OSAM. Yes. I like just deliberately like coming up with like weird middle names for him. I also really love when people are like, what's Barack's first name? Or what's Obama's last name? Like, those are my favorite. But yeah, all right, cool. Anyways, so this is why security is really important, because otherwise entire governments get destabilized. This is a hot take. Andrew is coming out here with hot takes. Listen, not all Muslim people are bad. This is a hot take. Well, so a lot of people didn't like some of the stuff Obama did. Like, a lot of people think that the way that he handled the Syria thing was bad. That being said, did he make a lot of good choices too? Yeah. People are complicated, you know? Okay. We get real devolved here, but like, Syria had they had a civil war. And America supported the government and brought in chemical weapons into Syria. And a bunch of like just civilians and kids died due to chemical weapons and like all this kind of stuff. And so a lot of people blame Obama for that violence, for not actually doing stabilizing efforts or listening to the people, which, you know, is something that America's supposed to do, you know, like we're like, yay, democracy. So a lot of people think that he did not handle the Syrian conflict in a good way and was responsible for killing a lot of people. And like, Syria is still not doing great. Like, that's why there's the Syrian refugee crisis. And like, you know, and now a lot of people have a lot of anti-refugee sentiment too. But like, the whole region's destabilized. Where else are they going to go? They can't stay in their country. But yeah, so some people like really criticize some of the things that he's done. Yes. Yeah, and I think that's really important to think about, is like the 60s were not that long ago. Like, yeah. And you know, like I voted for Obama both times. Right? Because that would have been, yeah, the 2012 election was the first presidential election. Yeah, the 60s, like, that's my grandparents. Like, that's a generation. Yes, Obama comes in with like a whole head of dark hair and then he leaves with just gray hair. Yeah. It is stressful. It's a lot of work. You don't get paid a lot either. Like, you get paid, but like, it's not like a lot. I think Congress should get paid less. Mitt Romney. And his binder full of women. Yes, a lot of people are not there for the pay. Some of them are. You know what always weirded me out is that we've had more than one president who's been an actor before. That's always been very weird to me. I don't know what that's about. I don't have an answer for that. Yeah. Yeah. Like, she's alive. She's in her 60s. Like, a lot of them are still like, you know, like the kids who went through that, like, they're just like adults now. I don't know if she does, I don't know if she does like talks and stuff. She should, but I don't know if she does. Yep. There's also that. But yeah, I don't know why we've had so many like actor presidents. I think it's weird. Because Reagan was an actor before he was president, and I think that's odd. I also think Carter was a weird president too. He's the only president from Georgia. Craziest or worst? Because those are different ones. Okay. I don't know, probably Roosevelt. He got shot and kept talking. Yeah. Yeah, like, I have, like, so my best friend, he lives in Shreveport right now. And, like, he literally will, like, send me lists of towns that he will not go in. Like, there are a bunch of towns in Louisiana that he's like, I do not drive through by myself. And I'm like, so, you know, we ain't out of the woods yet. And, like, there's, like, bunches of places like that in Texas, too. Like, I got a whole list that's like, you don't stop here after sundown. Like, you just don't. Okay, I'll send it to you. Yeah, but, yeah, you know, that's like 2020, like, you know, there's still towns and all that, like, it's just like, no, not going to be here. And I guess this idea of, like, that's what green books were, is, like, here are places that are not crazy racist, so you won't get, like, murdered for trying to rent a hotel room. No, not even ghetto, but, like, you know, like, yeah. 2-hour drive in the dark, yeah. Yeah, through country roads, yeah. Too many animals. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Any other political questions or health insurance questions or how do I not get profiled when I'm applying for a job? Yes, Get Out. Yeah, I think they do. I think Get Out does a really good idea of like talking about that. Yeah. And you know, like there's still places like that. I think it's less now, and I think it's like the really tiny towns, like, you know, I think most places are gonna be fine. Like, you know, Harlem and Thompson and all that, those are tiny southern towns, and like, you know, they're all right. All right, any other questionroonies? Because otherwise, I guess we'll actually do some content. And we have some time built into our schedule, so like, it's not the end of the world if we spend time talking about non-coding stuff. I deliberately do add time for things. Because, you know, listen, y'all want to talk about stuff, that's cool. Going back to professional development stuff, yeah, Texas, yeah, Houston is kind of an intense area. I've always thought about moving out to Austin, Texas. I thought it sounds nice. And like it's a pretty like chill city, all things considered. But you know, it's also Texas, so. You want to read The Secret Book? That's what you want to read? I don't know what you're talking about. Is this like a conspiracy theory thing?
So when Barack first became president, that's when I actually paid attention, because before I didn't know what was going on with presidents, because I was in elementary school. Okay, I was a kid. So it showed him in the office, the presidential office, and he had a book. It didn't let you see what was in the book, but it was talking about what was going on. Like, it's a book full of secrets that every president has to read. And I was like, I'm gonna be the president. Maybe we've discovered aliens. So yeah, that was it. I don't know what's in the book, but I want to read it.
You want to read The Secret Book? I'm sure it's nothing exciting. It's probably actually super depressing. It's probably like, oh, by the way, you know, we killed all the sea turtles on purpose or something. Like, it's probably not like cool stuff. It's probably like, oh, by the way, you know. Yeah, so we got personal stories that Houston isn't terrible, so that's good. Yeah. That's not very secure. I agree. You know, you just get one intern who's a little bit slick, and then bam, all the government secrets are out. I haven't been to Texas in a long time. I used to go to San Antonio, and I like San Antonio. It's nice. Texas is also ridiculously huge. Your microphone's out. Rude. Bummer. Bad computer. Yeah, I've heard some parts of Texas are really nice. My where does she live? She lives out in Dallas, and she likes Dallas a lot. She lives near Mexican. Oh, I totally misread that. I was like, she lives near Mexican. I was very confused. I'd like to go to Mexico. I think it'd be cool. I haven't been. Okay. I think what I want to talk about is if we can get through Docker stuff, we'd be maybe polyfills, and then we can do ECMAScript stuff tomorrow. And if we don't get through, that's okay. We can do it on Monday too. Yeah, you know, it's a different country. You always got to be careful when you're going to other countries. Except for maybe like Canada. You'd probably be all right in Canada. Yes. Yep. And then you wanted to show something off too. What was it? Memes. That's right. Okay. Yeah, we'll just totally have we'll just throw today in the garbaggio. Oh, I'm just kidding. It's okay. I really we have time built into the syllabus. So it's all good. And probably tomorrow with a speaker doing stand-up and all that, we probably won't get a lot done tomorrow too. Yes, all right. So I want to talk to you guys about how projects are set up right now with pasta. Yeah. Boop. So here's software architecture with pasta. So originally, software architecture was not really well thought about. And so it was just we call this spaghetti code. And so it's, how hard is it to pull out one piece of spaghetti from a cooked spaghetti pile? You think you can pull out one piece of spaghetti without breaking it or moving anything else? Yeah. So that's spaghetti architecture. This isn't typically what we refer to when we're talking about legacy code. It's going to be very hard to understand what's going on with this structure. Then we started to switch over to a layered monolith. This is what a lot of infrastructure is going to look like still. And what this means is it's one big service. And so, you know, like if you have a stack of books and you pull the bottom book out, what happens?
The stack falls.
That whole stack falls. And that's kind of one of the big issues with this like layered monolith approach is like it's easier to understand than the spaghetti oriented one, and it's more stable. Like, you know, you can stack lasagna on top of each other and it'll stay. You know, like you can't really like stack spaghetti without it just like oozing everywhere. But it's hard to make like changes to things. And that's the biggest problem with this kind of architecture is it's very hard to adapt. Right now, the hot new trend is microservices, which we're going to talk about a little bit. But basically what it means is instead of having one huge system run everything, you build little tiny services. So like instead of being like database, backend code, front end code, testing, web server stuff, that's all like stacked. It'll be like, here's my database over here. Here's my web stuff over here. And it's just a little bit easier to edit and change and speed up and add new features and all that. The downside of the Ravioli kind of microservices is it's harder to set up, it's harder to onboard, and it's also harder to make sure that everything is connected correctly. I do think you'll probably still end up with a lot of this monolith. Some companies are in the verge of switching things. Like TaxSlayer was a monolith, and now they are going over to be microservices. That's actually why I teach this now. This didn't used to be part of the syllabus, but because TaxSlayer hires a lot of our people, and they're one of our big tech partners, that's why I teach this section now. And that's why I'm taking a whole separate class on Docker too. Another problem with these monoliths are, so remember when we were talking about the Equifax breach yesterday? That's because it's all this one big monolith, and it's really hard to know if every single piece of that huge monolith is up to date. It's also really hard to scale. So like, if you have one physical server and then you suddenly have a huge spike in traffic, what's going to happen?
It's going to slow down.
Yeah, it'll slow down or it'll totally just crash. And so monolith projects are not scalable. But when we use microservices, they can balance themselves and upscale and downscale themselves without human interaction. They also take a lot of onboarding time. So like, if everything's one custom monolith, it is very hard for like a new dev to figure out how to do it. They're also slow. Monolith projects tend to be slow. Think about like, again, I'm gonna dunk on Microsoft a little bit, but like if you've used something with Access, like Microsoft's Access, it's slow because you got to set up this whole system in order for it to work. So to fix a lot of these problems, that's when this concept of containers comes in place. So let's take a look. The big thing is Docker. So what do I have running? Docker PS. There we go. I don't have anything running. So sad. Docker is hang on, I got a formal definition somewhere. A container management system, I guess, is probably the most apt way of saying things. But basically what this means is instead of making something have to request all of these things, we can just put a little tiny instance and be like, okay, bam, here's how to use Node. Okay, bam, here's how to use Nginx. Okay, bam, here's MySQL. And so all of these little apps get ran by Docker, and it's much faster. They work on everything. They work everywhere. Here's the difference between Docker and a virtual machine. They're faster, they're lighter, they're easier to run, they're easier to manage. All of that. You can smush them together if you want. Just cool. So let me show you Docker Hub. I think will provide a little bit more like context because I like seeing like physical things. So I'll do a little Docker demo for y'all. Let's do MySQL. Again, this is not like a fundamental piece for you guys to do. But if you're interested in like what's hot, new, and hip, this is what's up. Okay. So Docker Hub is kind of like GitHub. It's a place to put images, which are kind of like programs. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Whoop. So what it's doing is I asked it to run. What?
You have to put in your password?
So I just set it to be a password. So it's not going to, this is not connecting to my computer's MySQL. This is making its own module to host its own database in. That's a good question. Your brain looks a little melty. It's okay.
I had said okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just muted myself after I said it.
So what it's doing right now is, so like, you know, when we clone something from GitHub, this is kind of what it's doing right now, is it's going through and it's pulling through all of this stuff and it's going to go and find it. Just like when we do git clone and it pulls all the code, that's what's going on right now. It's going through to this image that's hosted on the hub and pulling it all down. In Docker run, setting it up, we named it some MySQL. -E stands for environment variables. And so we have to set a password for MySQL, just like we do if we download it on our computer. This D stands for delete. So basically when we exit out of the module, it'll close and delete it. So we don't have a bunch of stuff to chill in, which is nice. Docker is not super hard to learn. I think it takes a little bit of time to wrap your head around the concept of a container, but then once you got that, everything else is just typing. Brett Fisher does a bunch of resources for this. He's on YouTube and Twitter and such. That's the class that I'm taking right now too. This is also very well documented. We're still downloading. Oh, no, we're done. Excellent. So then I can do I don't want to do a compose. I want to look at it. I'm going to log in now. Okay. Okay. So now we're logged in. Now we can do something like this. Oh. We're getting somewhere. Hold on. So sad. That's okay. Let me do stuff like that. That's okay. all right, and then we're out of my machine. I think I wanted to not have it immediately delete, so that's okay though. Ooh. Someone just knocked on my door. I'll be right back.
So, guys, you want to hear a meme? Let me go find one real quick.
Just got a big box delivered to my house. I don't know what it is.
I can find it in time. Go back to my jokes.
Okay. All
I
right.
was looking for a meme, but I can't show it because they got to see the picture.
Yes. Once we're done talking about stuff, I will give you and Sylvia control, and then you guys can show off your wonderful work.
Awesome.
Anyways, I was hoping we would do a cool demo, but I guess not. We do Node maybe. But this is what Docker is. It's a way of, the main benefit of Docker is you don't have to set things up for specific users. So like my Mac runs differently than a Windows, but Docker just works, which is really nice. So there's no more, works on my machine.
Is JAWS DB like that? Like I added the app to Heroku. Kind of figure because it's like a remote, right? So if I pull it up on my Mac laptop, it should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's already awesome. Sorry.
It's all good. The next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is Kubernetes. It's not Kubernetes. It's Kubernetes. I see people pronounce it weird a lot. It also gets called K8. No, you don't have to rent space for Docker. You run it on your local machine. It is yours. It just exists. And then Docker Hub is just like GitHub. It's just a place to host images and then to get other people's stuff. That's a good question, though. So containers are small pieces of code that have everything they need to run. They're called applications, container apps. Kubernetes is a system to manage containers. And so first you would learn what a container is and get real comfortable there. Then you would learn what Docker is, and then you would learn Kubernetes. So Kubernetes just manages everything else and does things like scaling and balancing and all of that. So that's what Kubernetes does. Another big thing is these rollouts and rollbacks. If you break something, you can roll back, which is very nice. Oh, also this idea of self-healing, which is really wonderful. And so what this means is like, so let's say you are building an infrastructure that has a bunch of node modules, and they're all distributed. And so then people can use your website wherever. And then, one of your nodes dies. It loses power, it gets corrupted, whatever. It will kill it and then put them back, which is very cool. So I'd recommend learning Docker if you're interested in DevOps or backend engineering. If you want to be a front-end person, you might just need to if you can copy paste a Docker command, you'd be good. Maybe be able to read a YAML file. We haven't talked about YAML, but it's not too terrible. YAML is yet another markup language, and I'm not being sarcastic. That's what it stands for. Yeah, let me see it. So like we saw with other markup languages, this is what YAML looks like. This is what Docker uses. There are other things that use YAML too. But yeah, here's what YAML looks like. I personally don't like YAML. I think it's hard to read, but there you go. There's no curly braces to worry about, which is nice. Cool. So that's Kubernetes, Docker, and container, again, in like 20 minutes. This is not an in-depth, look in it. I'm gonna go to YouTube real quick.
Does the full stack developer tend to make more than a developer that's like front end or back end, or it just really depends on the company with what a full stack does?
Yeah. So the order of most paid to least paid: DevOps engineer, full stack developer, back end developer, front end developer, designer. And that is not to say that any of these things are not valid. Like, just because designers get paid less does not mean their work is less important. But the front end and design stuff tends to get paid less. Just so y'all know. So this is Brett Fisher. I'm going to click on his thing. I'm going to put this in Slack for y'all. He's teaching the class that I'm taking right now. He does so much good content, like so much good content. If you're interested in Docker, he provides a lot of stuff. I see that sleep in your eyes. That's funny. Designers do, like, they make wireframes and they decide how stuff is going to look. They might not do, like, they're going to use tools like Figma and Photoshop. They're not going to write the actual code. All right, so that's in YouTube, or that's in Slack for y'all. I like the way that he talks. I tend to watch his videos a little bit faster than how he talks. But yeah. Yeah, he does other stuff too, like how to use Git, all that. Yep. I like him a lot. But he's the dude who's teaching my class right now, so. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about, let me see this picture. Oops. This is a real complicated picture. Right. Yeah, I think, I don't know if I told y'all, I think this was like at the beginning of class when there were only like a couple people on. But my boyfriend left to go get lunch, and when he came back, his eyes were so puffy, I thought he got into like a fight or something from like his allergies. And so I was like, do you want a Benadryl? He's like, no, it'll just make me sleep. Like, yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know why they're so like intense this time. He was fighting for that food. He was just throwing hands and No, he only went and got him food. Don't get it twisted. He only got him food. Sometimes he is very nice about getting me food though, so I can't complain too much. Well, he need that food. Yeah. It's all good. Okay. So microservices from like a top level. So Docker is a microservice tool. Microservices is just this concept that instead of building one big, huge thing to run everything, you build little tiny modules that set up everything so it's faster and more reliable. This is such a weird thing. But yeah, basically it's just saying like monolith architecture has a lot of problems and here's a solution for it. If you want to get into software architecture, you will get paid a lot of money, but it is very hard. So, but software architecture is definitely like a path to go down. Cool. So this is like what's hot and coming up right now. There's still lots of monolith development, which is I think kind of what we think about when we think about this kind of stuff. It's just like, you know, all of these pieces all run together. And microservices, Docker, and container are kind of like the hot new thing. Any questions about Docker, Kubernetes, or microservices? And again, this is kind of more just like a, if you want to, go learn this. Yeah, and like go like play, it's all free. Make a Docker Hub account. The Docker documentation is phenomenal. Docker. What? Oh, oops. Yeah, so like the Docker docs, phenomenal. Like it is such like, they're like such a good resource. So like if you are interested in this, go for it. I also like their website. It's nice. If you want to do full stack, backend, or DevOps, I highly recommend learning Docker. And then learning Kubernetes is just basically like learning a tool on how to manage your containers. There's also things like Swarm and Compose and all of that too. Kubernetes is kind of the industry standard right now, though. All right. So the next piece that I want to talk about is polyfills. We've already talked about this with, yes, microservices is like the new flavor. And this is what everybody's going towards. Everything used to be monoliths, and now things are going towards microservices. We'll see what the next trend is, or we'll see if like people just go back to monoliths, or if this is what's going to be stable. We'll see. So remember, like HTML has things like Modernizer and Shiv, so that way we can use the newest features of HTML and still be backwards compatible. Cool. We have that for JavaScript too. So remember we talked about ECMAScript, we talked about that we have the ES versions. There is also TypeScript, and TypeScript gives rules to JavaScript. So TypeScript and JavaScript are different, but ES and JavaScript are the same thing. Oh, it's all good. There's this tool, thank you, called Babel. Babel allows us to write the newest flavor of, JavaScript, or use Babel, and then it magically gives us backward compatible JavaScript. We kind of saw this when I showed you guys like Browserify and stuff. This is kind of the same thing. It's a tool for us to use, so we get to use next generation stuff today. Here we go, Guy Ferrari. And then notice, like, you know, so like we don't get to use let and var and, or I'm sorry, let and const in all JavaScript. And we can use it wherever. That's very fancy. Real easy to set up. So you can use it with Browserify and get everything to just work. You can have it work with, if you're in Node, which we are, you can have it work with your CLI. You can have it work in the browser. It's very fancy. And then there we go, just install Babel. Done. And then we can have it, so we can have it run, and then we do build. Let me do, I'm gonna build a demo for y'all because I do not have the spoons to write like a really fancy piece of code. But basically, so like y'all remember when we used Browserify because Node can't run in the browser, and so we used that tool called Browserify, and we ran it, and then it gave us a file that'll run. Yeah, this is the same thing. So I'll do a demo of that tomorrow for y'all. It's important to know it is a compiler. So Browserify compiles stuff, Babel compiles stuff. Right. I don't know if I have the spoons to do ECMAScript today. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so everything else is going to be very complicated. Like we're going to get back into like thinking about code and writing code and like doing complicated code things. I don't know if I have the spoons for that. So any questions about all of the like actual code stuff we covered today, which was Babel, Docker, microservices, Kubernetes, or ECMAScript? Any questions about those? My mind is blank. Yeah. That's okay. Cool. Yeah. And today, like in melting, that's okay. This week is mostly meant to set you guys up for what do you need to do next. So like come back to this, think about it, use that developer roadmap that we looked at, all that. So let's do let's let Sylvia present her project, and then we'll let Susie wrap up with memes, and then we'll be done. And I will post the study hall Slack. So let me stamp presenting. And then while you set up, I'm going to go grab some water real fast. I'll be right.
Can y'all see a rock, paper, scissors game?
Yeah, and it looks awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I made it like when you hover, you can kind of see which one you're picking, you know, before you actually choose it. And then when you play, so it turns green because I won, and then, you know, my score went up, of course. And then, see, I lost on that one. So, I don't know, I kind of wanted this to look better. But it was kind of fussy, you know, moving it up and down. But yeah, that was pretty much the gist of it. Like, it's yellow if it's a draw, red if I lose, green if I win, and that's it. And it'll just keep, you know, adding the score or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I love it.
Really nice. It looks really nice. Yes.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
You go, girl. You go, girl.
I appreciate it. Even though, like, I want to make the big bucks, but I think my heart is in front end, like, or UX, UI, you know what I mean?
It's what I like too, so I can relate.
Yeah. Like, I like being well-rounded and knowing all aspects of something, you know, but I really did enjoy doing this because the front end aspect you can see is where I spent most of the time. Like, I wanted to have a reset button, but I was like, refresh right here. Okay, there we go. Reset button. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that was mine. That's it.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you very much.
You want to hear about my day? You want to hear about
your wonderful
girl? I was like, are you all right, man?
Girl, I left the house at 10 o'clock. I wanted to go and get some food because I have no food in the house.
So I drove down Fewers Ferry Road, and I stopped at a stoplight. Cars kept driving. I was pushing the gas. It's not going. It's not going. Then, of course, all the cops came, and they were like, "Oh, do you have enough?" Yes, I have enough gas. It's almost full. They're like, "Okay, we'll push you over to the side." So I'm sitting there. Christina gets there at 12 o'clock. She stayed with me. Shout out to Christina and her husband from 12 till 2:45 till they finally towed my truck, and then they drove me home in the boondocks. So shout out to them. Really appreciate it. Yeah. And then, of course, my son gets out of school at 2:45. So he's sitting at school. So I had to get my other car and drive down to the school, speed down to the school. And he was waiting there for like a half an hour. He's like, you took your time. I was like, yeah, I did, son. I did. How was your day?
I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, man. Oh, my gosh. I don't even know what to say. That's just one of them days I should have just stayed in bed. And I just registered that car today, this morning.
Mm-hmm. That's why.
I was like, and I paid $305 just to get it registered.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry you had to go through all that, man. That's a rough day.
You know what? It could have been worse. I could have got hit, or it could have been something worse. But I know it's the starter again, and I just had put a new start in there in March, so I brought it back to the same place. So hopefully they won't charge me again. So I don't know. March, April, May, June, July, August. 5 months ago.
I feel like that's still within their time. It just depends, though.
It should, because they put in. That was the second time they put the starter in, because a month before that they put a starter in and it broke down within a month. So this time it lasted 5 months. So I don't know.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But I'm back home. Yay! And my phone died. Yay!
Excellent. We have a day. Also, here's you didn't miss too much content. We got super derailed, so you didn't miss.
Well,
too
you
much.
guys talked about when we were on and off since 2, so you did like the resume and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't like too much in deep content. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it tonight.
Yeah. And then remember, we got study hall. All right, Zizi, you want to show us some memes?
Yes, I do.
All right, show us some memes. Give us some education.
Yeah, give us some edgy.
I forgot. I gotta present my screen.
We had a long conversation about what is a meme, so this is
go through the whole 9 yards. I'm gonna show you how to get to the memes. So you just type in what type of memes you want. Like we can do some relevant memes.
Relevant memes.
And you just go to images, and then here's all your memes. And you just look at them. Like some of them you probably won't understand unless you get the joke, and some of them you will. Like me watching my
schizophrenic. Okay.
I was supposed to say schizophrenic, but I don't know if it's spelled correctly.
It was supposed to be schizophrenic.
No. Yeah, but it's not spelled right.
And then
I want to help in her dress, so I conveniently became bisexual.
Horrific.
When your boss is
that one's funny.
Mom takes away. Whoa, okay. That's a little whoa out there. Okay.
Oh.
Irrelevant. So oh, that's so true. Okay, yeah, that was okay. That's not that funny.
Oh, this was me when I was working at D1. This was me every time. About 4 hours past now. It just started. And then you can look for other stuff. So as long as you type it in before the word meme, then you'll have the memes. So let's go to some, my fave, some SpongeBob memes. This meme, you'll see this a lot because this meme is basically used to mock people. So if somebody comes to you and they say something, like let's say, give me something. Say something to me.
Hey, SpongeBob.
Yeah, like I hate SpongeBob. I don't hate SpongeBob. Let's clarify that. But with this meme, you would do like, "Oh, I hate SpongeBob," and it's mocking. So you'll see this one everywhere. Oh, let's look at this. Let's look at this. Me when I found out who's been spending all my money. When you type yeehaw instead of yeah, I'm the last person I would have suspected, but it was me all the time. Bruh.
There we go. It's all coming back together now. We all back in the back. It's all here. It's not us.
Mom paying $250 for her hair. Oh yeah, I got this. $30 for a game that I won from GameStop. When I wake up before my friend at a sleepover and have to wait for them to wake up, that is the worst thing
That's
ever.
creepy. That's creepy. It's creepy. I was surprised that SpongeBob was gay. He was like the OG of this. He was. Okay, let's do some other stuff. So let's do how to make a meme. Okay, because like you can actually make
it's important. I don't know if I have any good memes, so I need y'all to send me memes. So I'll make your Kahoot tomorrow. Okay, so send me.
I will.
Put it on the Kahoot for y'all.
So basically, all you need to make a meme is you need an image, and then you type some stuff in. That's it. That's all you need to make a meme. So like this right here, you look at it and you think of something funny about it. Like, somebody think of something, and then I'll type it in.
Deliver a good meme right now.
I forgot how to spell delivery. Hold on. Oh man.
Yeah, there you go.
And then there you have a meme, and then you generate it, and then you can send it to people. So that's how you make a meme.
Oh, okay.
Easy Google mom memes. I'm over here cracking up. Like,
oh yes. Oh man, that is a good one. There's a lot of mom memes.
Oh my god.
Oh, moms are like, yep. Click that one. Yes. Amen. Amen.
Melatonin gummies out at 7.
That's what I'm saying right now. As soon as I get off this class, I'm taking a nap. I'm done.
Almost bedtime. Your husband starts a game with the kids that involves wrestling and screaming.
Yep.
Explaining to my mom that another one of my favorite characters died and listing the reason as to why they deserve better.
Look at her.
Go on, Julia
That was
Roberts.
me.
Go on, Julia Roberts. I want to see what the bottom says.
Which one? This one?
Julia Roberts, yeah. The one with the big smile.
I didn't know who that was.
and then
yeah, I love that one. I love Fueled by Coffee, Sustained by Wine. I like that. First time, your mom. Yep. I was like, my name is not Mom. Oh, you guys remember that? Mom, why? Why, Mom? Why? Why is this gasoline? Why? Oh my goodness.
Just when I think my kids have passed the phase, things will get easier. This is going to be the most dramatic season ever.
Oh my god.
that's how my mom feels.
Me getting to know other moms. You guys know how I'm into gangster rap, right? Bro, what did I click? No. Send me back to. Okay, here's my memes. Oh yeah, this is what you was talking about.
That is funny. Oh yeah. Oh, I remember them days.
Oh my God.
Horrible, man. Oh yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm dying. I'm crying.
What is Daenerys down there talking about? What is she?
Oh, I hated that. I'm like, what do you want, Mom? You called me.
And then it's always like dumb things. Like I'll be like, Mom, what do you want? She'll be like, did you eat dinner? And I'm like, you couldn't have just asked me that.
I always tell my kids to come into the living room and give me the remote because I don't want to get into the house.
I hate that.
It's not like I can't do it. I do it on purpose.
That's my son. Oh my God, my 2-year-old. He'll bend your leg. He make his leg real straight. Her face. Oh.
Bruh.
My mama had to teach me how to smile.
My mom always used to give me a picture. Like I would try, but you know.
My
Why
kids
do
do
they
some
smile
pictures
like that?
today. I know
That's
they
hilarious.
smile just like that. Crazy. Yep. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Yep.
This happened to my mom. So like,
Yep.
she left me somewhere, and I ended up on the fridge at 2. I don't know how I got up there. I don't remember, but she just said I was on the fridge, just looking at her.
Yep. See, I'm good. I'm gonna just keep my bad little cat, and then that's it. I'm good.
That is hilarious, man.
Yeah, it's funny.
My kids threatened not to talk to me for the rest of the day.
Love that.
Go for it, please.
When my kids were little, I used to play the quiet game, and they actually thought it was a game. I was like, yes. It took like 2 years before they figured out, hey.
Wait a second. You've did me wrong.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like that's how my parents felt a lot, is because I would be like terrible all the time, and they'd be like, "What are you doing?"
I be full on laughing when my kid trips over his crock that he leaves for me to trip over. I crack it up. He's so mad. Especially my 2-year-old, he gets really mad.
I like that. Oh, that is so funny. That's hilarious.
Look at this one right here. When the kids took a nap in the car and how they'll be up all night.
Oh, I used to say that all the time. So one of my friends would be like, "This is not my circus, not my monkey," and I'd be like, "And yet, I'm the person who has to clean all the monkey poop up." And they're like, "Oh, you're right. You're right."
That's so mean. Oh, that is so mean. First, that is so true. That is so true. I used to buy the most expensive toys and buggies and stuff for my first one. The second one just got hand-me-downs or whatever was left. I left him in the car seat all day long.
That one.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yes. Lord.
Yes, yep.
Ooh, praise God.
Mhm. Let me go to the bathroom, mommy. And mine are 17 and 15. They still do it.
I do it to my mom
Stand in
too.
the doorway like that. Oh
Yeah,
my.
they're like holding a discussion. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to poop. Can you leave me alone?
Look at this one.
Oh wow.
Bring the baby up. Mm-hmm.
My mom used to do this. I could not get away with being sick
yeah.
unless I threw up. Bro, I hate that. I hate this. Oh, that is so true.
Oh yeah, my kids do chores all the time. They hate. They don't. I don't even wash dishes anymore. I don't do it as a principal.
So maybe I'll have kids then. Can I just adopt them? Does that work? Like, can I adopt like a 16-year-old and be like, listen?
You could. You could. You could walk the
stressed out for the rest of your life till they move out.
They vacuum. They clean the kitchen. They clean.
You can have one of mine, but then you'll return them.
No, mine don't talk back. You just put them in the corner with a book. They're good to go.
I'm a cool mom.
Yeah, I am a cool mom too. I'm pretty cool. I mean, I still jump around on trampolines and stuff like that. So.
Bro, that was me when I cleaned my room. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's exactly what the room looks like after they clean it. Like everything in the corner. I'm like, dude, really? Come on now. Yeah, exactly. I hate that. I hate that when people want to give you advice and they'll, do you know? Oh, okay. Oh, you shouldn't talk to your kids like that. You shouldn't yell at your kids.
You ain't got
You
kids.
have a kid? No? Okay. Thank you. You have a nice day.
Bro, I remember this. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was me and my brother for sure. Like we play fight a lot, and so like, like I'd be like, you know, that's funny.
Oh my God, yes, that's my life. I always forget their lunch. I'm like, why? And I lock them out of their lunch account because they drive it up to like $80. So I have to go and bring them their lunch every time they forget it. I hate it. Oh, that is nice. I like that. Yep, that's exactly right. Before kids, after kids. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a little creepy. Oh God. Ooh.
We don't do that here.
Yes. That is so
Like, for
true.
real. I'm not
I
feeling
actually
it.
get excited on Saturdays because that's when I do all my laundry and all my cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
I like a clean house. Oh,
Oh, that was the line my parents always used.
Or if you're really bounced, go ahead and
Yeah,
bounce.
all right.
I'm probably gonna bounce too.
yeah. I was telling, I don't care about other kids. You're my kid.
Right, so I'm gonna look for like the best one. I'm gonna type in the best one. It's gonna be the last meme.
Oh, it's already 4:00.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Find the best one. Right, we're gonna do this.
Is that like a interview question? What are your
Oh, okay. So that was all the memes. I
Excellent.
hope y'all been cultured and educated.
Great.
Thank you so much. I mean, after this day.
You should all know memes.
All right, I'm gonna post that link in Slack for y'all, and then I'll see some of y'all at 6. Remember, you do get extra credit for showing up, and
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be more educational and productive than today. But that's okay. Not every day is gonna be a home run, and that's all right.
Yep.
All right. I'll talk to some of y'all later tonight, and everybody else, I will see you tomorrow.
You put the link in Slack?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.